Hi, I'm Larry Donahue with Law for Small Business. Thank you for tuning in. This video is the first part of a two-part series. In this first part, I'm going to discuss companies and where to form them. There's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet in terms of what state you should form and or whether you need to form in your own state where you're a resident. So I'm going to give you the general rules and issues around all of that. And the context really is, where do you need to be registered? And do you need to move your company? Let's say you are a resident of New York and you want to move to Florida. Do you need to move your New York company to Florida? So we're going to answer that in this video, and then we're going to have a second video about moving your company, how to do it correctly. So let's talk about where to form a company. So you are one of two people. You either have an existing company or you're thinking about creating a company. And the question is, where do you form the company? Where do you create a company? You've heard or read on the internet that Delaware is great. Maybe you've read some of our literature or other literature about anonymity, and you hear about New Mexico or Wyoming or Delaware. The problem is, you can't look at it from the lens of where's the best state to incorporate. What you have to do is look at it through the lens of where am I doing business? Doing business. It's also called transacting business. Where are you actually doing business? And every state has different rules around this, unfortunately. So what you want to ask yourself is, even if you're doing business on the internet, by the way, it doesn't matter. It's not where your customer is, although it could be. So here's some tests for you. One, where are most of my customers? So most, what does that mean? Well, if you have customers all over the US, then this really isn't an issue. However, let's say you're in Illinois and you have 40% of your customers in Illinois, you are doing business in Illinois. If you're a Texas resident and you have half your customers in Oklahoma, you're doing business in Oklahoma. What else? 2, W-2 employees, including yourself, not 1099. Employees or vendors. That doesn't count. But W-2 does, for sure. What else? Base of operations. You're hanging a shingle, you got a retail location. You're storing product. Or fulfillment. I don't know how to spell fulfillment. Apologies if I have a misspelling there. So you can have an internet company and you can have customers all over the place. That's fine. So maybe you don't meet this test. And maybe you're not even paying yourself W-2 income. But you have your garage full of your product and you're doing the fulfillment out of your house. Then you're probably meeting this test, and that means you're probably doing business in the state where your product is located. Now it's not a black or white rule. Every state has different opinions or factors around all of this. And some states, for instance, like California, has additional tests. And I'm not a California lawyer, so I cannot go into too much detail, but what I can tell you is you can search for doing business in California Franchise Tax Board. And they have a really nice page. It has all the requirements. And one of them is, how much revenue does the company generate, or how much revenue does the company send into the state? if you meet any of those financial numbers, and they're around $50,000 to $60,000, somewhere in that range. So it's pretty low. If you meet those indicators, you're doing business in California, even if all these other tests are in other states. So for California residents, California has a pretty broad rule. So you need to ask yourself, do you meet any of these? And if so, you're probably doing business in the state you are a resident of. So where should you form? I'm going to erase this test. And so the question is, where am I doing business? We gave you that test. The next one is, where do I form or register my company? So, form or register my company. First one is where I told you you're doing business. Period. That's your answer right here. But suppose you say, no, Larry, I'm concerned about, I heard Delaware. Yeah. I heard Delaware is really good. Sure, you can register in Delaware, but you still need to register here. So let's say we have our map of the United States. This is going to be a terrible map. And let's say you're in a state over here in Chicago, and you want to move to Dallas. So the first question is, Delaware's over here. What does Delaware have to do with anything with Chicago or Dallas? Or you're moving maybe to Miami or New Mexico or California. What does Delaware have to do anything about it? Second question, anonymity. Do you care about anonymity? So the answer is maybe you do, but at the end of the day, you still have to register here and here. So my advice is you register where you're doing business. And if you really want to do something more, you can, but you still need to register in one of these states. So what does this look like? You register a company where doing business. And this is your primary, it's called domestic company. It could be an LLC or a corporation. And if you are doing business in more than one state, you foreign file in other states. So this gives you some flexibility in terms of where you could form, and if you really want to form in Delaware, you can do it. But you have to foreign file where you're doing business. So let's go back to my model here. You're in Chicago. Let's say you have an Illinois-based company. You want to move to Texas. Well, you can create a new company in Texas and do business there and get rid of your Chicago company. We'll talk more about moving in the next video, but you have other options here. You can form a Delaware company, but then you need to register it as a foreign company in both of these jurisdictions if you're doing business and transacting business in both of these jurisdictions. So you really want to think about all of that, and this costs money. You have issues here, by the way. One of the issues is you have to file and pay taxes. You have possibly local business registrations or licenses. You have issues relating to costs with starting. You have costs with maintaining, and you have costs with ending, closing or dissolving. You really need to think about all of these things. And back to Delaware, by the way. Delaware is very expensive to maintain and end and close. In fact, the state of Delaware will not let you close your company unless you have paid all the maintenance fees and everything. And if you wanted to dissolve today and you didn't pay your franchise fees for 2019 when we've created this video, they'd make you pay those as well. And if you don't have the money to do it, they won't close your company for you. Those fees will continue to accrue, and you may end up owing thousands of dollars to the state of Delaware in order to close or dissolve your company. So you really want to think about and minimize where you're creating companies and where you're foreign filing, because you have all of these issues. But that's not all. You have more. You have liability issues. You have stuff that can follow you forever. You could be dragged into lawsuits. So you want to be careful and judicious about where you register or file your company, because you have a lot of issues. So my advice overall is, where do you file? Here's my suggestions. First, my suggestion is where you live. Period. You live in Tennessee, form a Tennessee company. New York, form a New York company. California, California. Just that easy. Don't even ask yourself, is Delaware better? It doesn't matter. You probably have to register your company in your state anyway. And if you grow and reach a certain size where it makes sense to register in Delaware, we can move your company to Delaware. So we can handle that later if you need to. But keep it easy and register locally. If you have other issues though, let's say you want to be anonymous. What you do here is form two companies. You form your LLC in home state. This is going to be your operating company. LLC, by the way. We got to use an LLC for anonymity. So your LLC in your home state, which is going to be owned by an anonymous LLC somewhere else, usually Wyoming, New Mexico, or Delaware. And so that will be an anonymous holding company, and then you will own the anonymous LLC. So this is the company you're doing business with. This is the company that you're branding, has Amazon accounts, websites, it's getting paid, it has bank accounts, it has an FEIN. This is the business you're doing business, and it should be in your home state. And if you want to be anonymous, you have your anonymous LLC holding company or a parent company own it, and you own the anonymous company. And what that allows us to do is register the company in your home state without disclosing your information. We disclose the anonymous LLC information. And then if anybody looks up the anonymous LLC, it doesn't disclose ownership information, and that's how we protect you. However, you still have tax issues in your home state and other, maybe local business license and so on that you need to think about. So finally, what else would you do? Where you live, anonymous, and then 3 other considerations. Like what? Are you going to go public? If so, you shouldn't be watching this video. You need to talk to a securities lawyer that they can give you good sound advice on how you take a company public. So that's not there. What else? You think you might move someday? So you're doing business in Illinois today, but you might move in a few years. You form where you're doing business. And if you're going to be doing business in Chicago today, you need to form in Illinois. And then if and when you move to Texas, then we can talk about that. And there's other options for that. So my name is Larry Donahue with Law for Small Business. Thank you for watching. You can reach us at l4sb.com, or you can call us. Please do so. We have licensed paralegals and attorneys that are happy to answer your questions. Our phone number is 505-715-5700. Thank you for watching.